Hello everyone, I'm Kana Taku. It's been 15 years since I first came to the United States to study post-traumatic growth or PTG. Although my English was very minimal to begin with, I finally feel pretty comfortable calling myself bilingual now. My speaking, writing, and typing skills have come a long way. However, probably because I missed a critical period of native language acquisition, I have a strong accent. And when I listen, read, or compute mathematics, it still takes me longer in English than it would in Japanese. I've also gotten better at differentiating some accents in English, where I can at least tell if somebody is a native English speaker or not, although I still may not be able to narrow it down to their geographic origins. Around the world, many people have learned English as their second or third or even fourth language. But this makes me wonder if previous participants in my studies were bilingual and if they would have had a differing self-report if they accessed the post-traumatic growth inventory in their native language. So I was reading the book Culture and Psychology, written by Drs. David Matsumoto and Linda Duan, and found that bilinguals often have two different mentally encoded meaning systems. When speaking one language, speakers can access their respective culturally based meaning system, but when they switch languages, their meaning systems subconsciously adjust as well. So I found a study conducted by Dr. Ramirez Esparza, Sam Gosling, and their colleagues, who recruited Spanish-English bilinguals in the border states of the US and in Mexico. The participants were asked to fill out the same inventory measuring Big Five personality in both English and Spanish. The researchers wondered if there would be a difference between the responses that would indicate the emergence of a dual personality. The answer was kind of yes. They said it's not like an extrovert suddenly becomes an introvert as they switch languages, but overall, bilinguals were more extroverted, agreeable, and conscientious when using English than in Spanish, despite which one was their native language. So I wanted to see this for myself. The test I took is called HEXACO-60, and it's currently available in 30 different languages. I used this inventory before in my own PTG study. As such, I took it in English, and came back and took it again in Japanese. I couldn't really believe my eyes when I saw only 32 of the 60 items were exactly the same, which is only half, while the rest were different. Off the top of my head, I came up with 3 possibilities for why this happened. So first, in a few items, I noticed some translation discrepancies. For example, there is an English item that says, I would enjoy creating a work of art, such as a novel, a song, or a painting, to assess creativity, which is under the dimension of openness to experience personality. Now, I've never really had a chance to do any of these, but I know I would totally enjoy them if I had more time, which led me to answer 5, strongly agree, when I answered it in English. However, when I read the Japanese version, it translates as I do enjoy creating art, such as writing novels, making music, and drawing a picture. So I had to say 1, strongly disagree, because I haven't experienced any of these yet. Another example is the item saying, I would get a lot of pleasure from owning expensive luxury goods, which assesses greed avoidance under the dimension of honesty and humility. I didn't really think I would get a lot of pleasure by having expensive stuff like jewelry or car, so I answered 1, strongly disagree. But when I saw this statement in Japanese, I read, one can gain a lot of fun if they possess expensive and luxurious stuff. So I strongly agreed and selected 5. Although I am the same person, these translations led to diametrically opposed responses. This potentially could have been avoided through using back translations of the HEXACO inventory in order to determine semantic equivalency. Second, in 6 to 7 many items, I experienced subconscious shifts due to my cultural worldviews. For example, one English item read, I feel reasonably satisfied with myself overall. And I sure do, so I put 5 strongly agree, with no hesitation on the English version. As soon as I read the Japanese version of this item though, I instinctively knew that I would rather not be the kind of person who would say I feel I'm pretty much satisfied with myself overall within that culture. I just can't be that super positive, so I chose to be a bit realistic and went with only 4. Similarly, in English item, I think that I'm entitled to more respect than the average person is. I selected 3 neutral because I neither agree nor disagree. Besides, I never said or heard something like I am entitled to, so this phrase does not remind me of anything. There was no emotion attached to it, and I saw it as neutral. On the other hand, when I read the Japanese version, the item had a much stronger connotation to me. It reads, I believe I should have a right to be respected more than average person. I was shocked. I had a strong emotional reaction based on what I saw as the underlying message, and felt strongly that this should not be the case. This led me to select 1, strongly disagree, as compared to no opinion in the English version. This is perhaps well explained by the culture-affiliation hypothesis. Researchers propose that immigrant bilinguals are more likely to affiliate themselves with the values and beliefs of the culture associated with whichever language they are operating in. This is precisely what I think I did. I just could not allow myself to be so arrogant because I cannot believe that I should be better than anybody else when thinking of it in Japanese. Finally, for the rest of the items, I almost unconsciously added in Japan when I completed HEXACO in Japanese. I didn't have the same feeling in English because English is not isolated to a specific group for me in the same way. For example, there is an item, I rarely express my opinions in group meetings. This is sometimes true, but not always, so I selected 3 neutral in the English version. Because in America, people are usually talkative, so I don't feel the need to contribute as often. However, when I read it in Japanese, I considered my actions while in Japan. This changed my answer because I typically say something at meetings in Japan. Although I have the same willingness to participate in either country, my answers changed depending on where I pictured myself and whom I pictured myself with. Of course, this will also vary based on how strongly I feel about the topic as well. Although, at the end of the day, I am still a cohesive self with my own traits and characteristics in both languages. It was interesting to see how these inventories portrayed characteristics in such different lights. Well, I'll be visiting Israel in 10 days to talk about my studies on cross-cultural aspects of post-traumatic growth with researchers over there. So I will see you when I get back. Well, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and click the thumbs up.